I finally got this bad boy back, so let's get on with an episode of Tech Talk. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tech Talk episode 33, and today we're going to be talking about kind of like a mass miscellaneous. There's a lot of different things to talk about, so we might as well get on to the first topic, and that is Steam and Valve investors' paid mods fiasco. Basically, they wanted to introduce the option to have paid mods where the developer of the mod only got 25% of the money being paid for the mod. I'll bet 25% of the revenue. And that's disgusting. Like, straight away, I'm going to say, this is what people were probably getting pissed off about. Was not the fact that they were introducing the option to have paid mods. And I think it's something that could work. I think adding things like a donation button, I think that could work. And I think that's something that Valve needs to consider. But when they come out and say, hey, the person who creates this mod is only going to get $1 of every $4, it's kind of like, hey, we're sick of all this corporate greed nowadays, and you guys want to pay the person making the content next to nothing? Like, what? What? Are you kidding me? So anyway, this is what I think people got pissed off about. And it's not just so that they're introducing the options to have paid mods, is that they're just trying to take as much money as they can. That's how I saw it anyway. 75% of the money goes to Bester and Valve. I mean, it just, like, yeah, I didn't like that revenue sharing model. I think that's what needed to be, or needed a lot more thought when implementing. So anyway, they've scrapped it now. Gabe said, no, we've had so many complaints now that we're going to scrap this and we're going to leave mods for free. And I mean, in ways, like, I agree with him, right? Counter-Strike and Dota were fantastic mods. Mods are great for the gaming community, the PC gaming community. What also is great for the PC gaming community is that if someone wants to try and quit their day job and start making mods for a living, say they made a mod and a lot of people enjoyed it, and they're like, hey, I want to get paid for this, I'll start making a really good mod, they could also get paid good money for that, not 25%. So I think they need to rethink the revenue sharing model if they want to introduce paid mods. Just putting that out there, Valve and Steam and Bester. But apparently from what I gather, it wasn't actually Valve that introduced the 75-25% model. I think Bester, from what I gather, I mean, I don't have any concrete information, but from what I gather, it was actually Bethesda, I don't even know how to pronounce it, sorry, that wanted to introduce the 75-25% model. So in ways, I mean, if that's the case, Gabe should say that. It will save him a bit of face. So, I mean, Anyway, let's get on to the next piece of news. This is the whole Gigabyte fiasco, and I'm kind of shocked as to why I didn't know about this sooner, but it wasn't until some of my viewers pointed me in this direction and say, hey, what's going on with the B85 motherboards from Gigabyte? You're recommending them, but they look different to the one that you recommended. And I was like, what? And so I read this article. This is over 5 months old, and I don't know why this hasn't gained enough attention, but it's absolutely disgusting. I think this is worse than the Nvidia fiasco. At least with the GTX 970, you got a product that worked well for the money. This time around, you're getting such a downgrade in performance that your CPU will actually throttle. A normal i7 out of the box will actually throttle on the Revision 2 motherboard, and it doesn't throttle on the Revision 1. So let's just looking at the pictures here. I'll put the article in the description below. But what Gigabyte have done is they've released a Revision 2 of this motherboard, and they've cut the VRM down so much. You can see it in the pictures here. Half the MOSFETs. Not only that, we've got one less choke. We've got less caps on there. And you've also got weaker components on that regard as well. So you're getting essentially like a third of the VRM. So look here. We've got 52 amp MOSFETs as opposed to 69 amp MOSFETs. So you're getting like a third of the VRM that you were getting with the previous revision. Really disgusting. Not only that, apparently on the box they're advertising it as a dual BIOS, and it's only got a single BIOS as well. So isn't that like false advertising? Last time I checked it was. But anyway, the bottom line is they put a i7 on this motherboard out of the box. So you see here, default settings. The Revision 2 throttled after 2.5 minutes. The Revision 1 didn't throttle at all. Doesn't happen. Not only that, your VRM's running cooler as well. So this is really disgusting. I mean, I've recommended this motherboard personally, and this is why I'm really disappointed actually in Gigabyte, is that I've recommended this motherboard in the past. I've said, hey, the B85M Amazing value for money. $50 board, couple it with a whatever CPU if you're not really overclocking too high, and you'll be getting good performance. I have to go back and change that review now and put some big text in there and say, do not buy this motherboard if it's a revision 2. Only buy it if it's the revision 1. And I shouldn't have to do that, and they shouldn't be confusing their customers in that way. Because this isn't a revision, this is a significant downgrade, and they should be releasing it under a new name. The B85M, whatever, BD3. Change the name. Don't use the same name. That's like, I really don't like that. So let me know what you guys think about this. Like, would you go and buy a revision 2 and have your CPU throttling? I wouldn't. I certainly, and I'm not going to recommend it. So, yeah, and as US Hardware Info pointed out, this is a really good article. You guys should go read it. As they pointed out, other companies have done this in the past, except they put better hardware on. And so it's not at the detriment of the customer. So if people go out and buy things based on reviews that us reviewers do, then they can rest assured that they're going to get a product that works like the reviewer said it would. As opposed to this isn't going to work as we said it would. This is a significant downgrade. So, it gets my blood boiling anyway. So there's another article here. I think they've pulled the same. I don't know if they've done their own pictures or they pulled it off the US Hardware Info. But these are the guys who ran the test, so I'll put their article first. But anyway, let's get on with the next piece of news here. This is the hands-on with Microsoft's Hololens. And now, I'm not going to focus so much on the Hololens itself as I'm going to focus on VR headsets and how I think going into the future, these are going to be the future, if that makes any sense. So, every month now, I read tech news. I read it, I love it, and I'm noticing more and more that VR headsets are just popping up everywhere. Oculus Rift, Google Glass, now the HoloLens. And so it makes me step back and think, hey, this is going to be the future. In the next 5 to 10 years, I think you're going to see VR headsets being used more. I think they're going to gain more support. I even possibly am going to guess that the next gen consoles could be VR headsets. That's just my guess on it. And so, I mean, personally, I don't know. I'm kind of scared with the VR headset. Like, I haven't tried one yet. I actually really want to try one, but I'm kind of like a little bit perplexed as to putting something in front of my face for hours and having that so close to my vision, or having that so close to my eyes. Wouldn't that affect you in certain ways? Not too sure. I mean, the said reviewer here said that he experienced a bit of vertigo after using this. So that's something that needs to be looked into. I mean, the possible health side effects of using a VR headset. So, I mean, me recently, I've got blue light glasses on, protecting myself because I'm paranoid about this blue light. But anyway, what do you guys think about VR headsets? I think they're going to be the future, especially going in the next tablet, so to say. I think they could be the next thing, the next big thing. But anyway, let's get on to the next piece of news here. And this is so exciting, the DX12 Demo. It steals the show, and at the Microsoft build. So I watched the demo and I was really impressed. You guys should go watch it. I was just like, whoa, that's jaw-dropping. It was really impressive. So the guy was talking at the start of the video in Japanese, and he did something that he did point out, and something I noticed was he's like, with the help of NVIDIA and Microsoft. So NVIDIA and Microsoft, I'm guessing, are really putting a lot of money into the next Final Fantasy. I guess they could see that as the next big. Is it going to be an MMO? I mean, if it's an MMO, then it could be a huge project, and it could really harness, really propel PC gaming into the next gen, especially since people are kind of getting bored of World of Warcraft. I mean, I'm personally getting bored of World of Warcraft. So if this is going to be the next big thing, and NVIDIA and Microsoft are putting a lot of money into it, it stands that they have a lot to make out of this as well. It'll be good for both Microsoft and NVIDIA, their brand names. But one thing that is impressive is that DX12 is looking like it's gaining a lot of traction and a lot of support. And this is what makes me happy because, as he said in the video, 6 to 12 times more polygons than DX11. Like, wow, that's really impressive. And so what we're going to get with DX12 is just a better gaming experience. And I can't wait. So it's really good. And I think this time around, as opposed to previous DX Gen games, I think DX12 is gaining a lot of support. And that's really good. So let me know what you guys think about DX12. I can't wait for it personally. So, I mean, less, CPU overhead and all that, all the goodness that comes out of it. It just sounds really good. And now we're going to move on to the next piece of news here with the 980 Ti. This is actually, I'm going to pull this up because it was just a short article. and it was really accurate, I think, in my opinion. And so apparently the 980 Ti is going to come out sooner than we thought, and it's going to have 6 gigabytes of GDDR5, which makes about sense, seeing it's based on the same chip as the Titan X, just with half the VRAM. And it's going to have apparently the same amount of CUDA cores. And I've argued this in the past. I think it'll have one less cluster than the Titan X, just to keep the Titan X the king of the hill sort of thing. Though I can't wait for this. And I mean, I've already reported on this before, but me being a tech enthusiast, it's like GPUs, CPUs, and motherboards and all that. It gets my blood boiling. I love it. I mean, not blood boiling, sorry. It makes me just, it gets me excited. So any piece of news in regards to graphics cards and CPUs kind of gets pushed to the front of the line here. So anyway, let's move on to the next piece of news. It's on sort of the same topic here, and it's the R9-380X and the 980 Ti benchmarks have been leaked. And the 960 Ti. I mean, all these graphics cards are just magically getting leaked into the public, and the benchmarks are coming out. I mean, I think the title should read, "Are you gullible?" ? Here's some benchmarks. Take it as you will. That's what the title should be. Because I looked at these benchmarks, I'm like, what? Like Walter White from Breaking Bad. So that's kind of like what what I took out of these benchmarks. So for what it's worth, though, I mean, with the R9-390, and I've said it before, the R9-390X, I really got to wait and see, because the Titan X has been released, and we already know it performs like a freaking beast. It's king of the hill, and so the onus is on AMD to perform, and I think we can only really wait until they bring out their R9-390X, and then we'll have some solid information. But anyway, on to the next piece of news with graphics cards. The R9-380 has apparently been launched by an OEM, HP, and it's apparently just a 7950. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on, AMD. I really want to see these graphics cards come out, and I want to see them come out as soon as possible. But as I've mentioned before in the past, every month that goes by is kind of like, sales that AMD's losing. It's market share that AMD's losing. And I've spoken about this in the past so many times, I'm not going to sound like a broken record anymore. So, I mean, the previous Tech Talks are there. You can go through them and watch them if you want, where I give my thoughts on the AMD, especially the financial side of the company. And so, yeah, I mean, I just want to see it. Release the R9-390 already. As the first comment there pointed out, the big troll face. That's pretty funny. First comment's just a big troll face. So let's get on to the next piece of news now. And this is who is using your Facebook. And now the government spies on your phone. So apparently this person here, Musa Ali, opened his Facebook in 2011, and he found someone using his Facebook. And it makes me wonder, when I sit back and I look at this going on, it makes you wonder how much access the government actually has. And it's pretty scary. And it there's two sides to the tale. I might in a further Tech Talk have to go in a lot more depth into this, because there is two sides to the coin. I mean, you look at some of the terrorist stuff going on lately, it does give justification to spying, but then you look at like ordinary people, like, the said person in this article using his Facebook and getting hacked by the government. This kind of makes you wonder, like, what is going on? So the whole privacy thing is really up in arms at the moment. And it's really there is two sides to the coin, and I think I need to talk about this more in the future. So let me know what you guys think. But it's pretty scary when the government can get access to your Facebook, to your Twitter, and they know things that you're doing that you would just otherwise want to keep private. There's some things that I just want to keep private. I don't want to tell people about how my marriage is on the rocks or something like that. But I mean, the government, hey, they want to know. So anyway, let's get on to the next piece of news here. This is the AMD Zen architecture, and the processors are going to be true quad cores, or true 8 cores, or true 16 cores. And basically this article just shows, I mean, I've talked about Zen in the past, but this article just shows it in real black and white. So I'll put a link in the description below for you guys. But we can see here they're going back to the SMT architecture. That's a simultaneous multi-threading architecture. And you see how simple it is. Like, you see how much better it'll be as well. And this CPU should perform a lot better than the FX series line. Though apparently it's going to be on 14 nanometers, so they've got a big drop in the node there, big shrink in the node. It's also going to have support for DDR4 as well. The TDP figures look pretty good as well. But one thing I'm curious about is where is the no GPU on board solution for us desktop enthusiasts? Where is that? I want to know what that's going to bring to the table. If we can kind of get some pricing, maybe a little bit of a leak. I want to know what's going on. I'm really curious. So every time I read about Zen, apparently all I'm reading is just APUs. I don't want an APU because I know that GPU portion on that APU isn't going to perform as well as a beast desktop graphics card from either AMD or NVIDIA. So I'm curious to know what the CPU-only solutions are. So we've got here another mention of a 16-core as well, 32-thread CPU. And so this will essentially be targeted at the server market, I believe. Though, man, if they get something like this and it's really good price to performance, they could well indeed gain a bit of market share back. So I'm looking forward to the release of Zen, and I hope we can get a good CPU enthusiast variant out of it as well. So anyway, AMD's upcoming Fiji GPUs will feature the new memory interface. So this is pretty much confirmed now, and that the R9-390X and the R9-390 are going to have the HBM, that's the high bandwidth memory solution on board, and apparently it's also going to drop the latency of the memory as well. So they're focusing on latency as well. I mean, how this manifests in the real world, I don't know. Like, how does this manifest to games? Will there be a visible drop in input lag? I don't know. I'd be keen to see. I'm actually really looking forward to the R9-390 and what it has to offer for the gaming community. But one thing I will state is that apparently from what I read, the HBM's having delays, and so that's what's causing the R9-390 and the 390X delays. So, I mean, honestly, we can only wait and see. That's with the R9-390. There's just so much news on there about Zen and R9-390X floating around. It's kind of like, I think we're all at the stage now where, hey, just release it. But, I mean, I feel obligated to report to you guys, as I think as tech enthusiasts, this is what makes us get all excited anyway. It certainly does for me. Whenever I read news about GPUs and CPUs, it gets me very excited. So anyway, let's get on to the last piece of news here. This is Microsoft is essentially they are looking at bringing in lock screen ads on Windows 10. And now when I looked at this, I'm like, one part of me, it made my blood boil. Like, I was like, ugh. You know, you turn on your phone, there's an advert right in front of your face. But another part of me sort of made me step back and think like, hey, this could actually work if people want a free version of Windows. I mean, look at how many people pirate Windows out there. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who pirate just freaking, they've got a pirated copy of Windows. I think Microsoft could counter that if they introduced a version of Windows that was free and it had advertising on it. I think that could work. I think it could work well, to be honest. Though, you know, the article here is like the reviewer Grant Brunner has got really he's sort of got a big bad taste in his mouth. And I can understand why. I mean, right, I'd pay money to have my OS have no ads on it. But I mean, hey, it's just an option. I think Microsoft could look into it. I mean, especially since people could get a free copy of Windows, if it's something they could implement, then that would be actually pretty good. So anyway, that's just throwing my thoughts out there. If you guys enjoyed this tech talk, then please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments about this episode, then please let me know in the comment section below. I have a few reviews to do as well, so stay tuned for them. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on another video very soon. Anyway, that's it for today. Peace out.